Good evening, explorers, and welcome to the zone.
Introducing your new best friend, Peto! When you find the crippling loneliness of the radius getting you down, don't! With new Peto plushies. Pick up your little friend and give him a squeeze and feel your worries fade away. He's made with asbestos and love. He's Peto, always there when you need him. Order your Peto today, and you'll also receive 2 more Peto plushies, Passive Aggressive Peto, and the all-new Romantically Dependent Peto. Collect all 3 for the full emotional baggage collection. Peto is not real and cannot hurt you unless you want it to. If you ever find your Peto doll is speaking to you in Latin, speak with your UMPSC doctor at your earliest convenience. Peto may try to steal your hands on apple if left unsupervised. Keep Peto away from small children under the age of 56 years old. Do not throw Peto into any distortion anomalies, or your risk of trench foot may increase. Do not send Peto back to the manufacturer for any reason. Do not kiss your Peto doll for the following side effects may occur: heart failure, increase in body fat, romantically dependent Peto becomes sentient, hair loss, gout, more pillows, increased risk of stepping on a landmine, city may be destroyed by God, and increased risk of watching mainstream news channels and caring about US politics. Order your new best friend today!
Where we're going to be taking a deep dive into the Pechorsk exclusion zone and what lies within it. Today, we're looking at the second region that explorers are likely to visit, Bolotky Village. Let's get into it. Coming from Pervome route, you can expect a bit more resistance here, although only to a minor extent. You can expect to face fragments, spawns, seekers, mimic police, hunters, and commandos, although there's only a handful of the latter two. Bear in mind that other types of entities are encounterable here if you are doing terminal given missions, especially at higher security levels. So always be sure to survey mission objectives beforehand so you don't get any nasty surprises. Bolotky is a flat swamp with some structures and cliffsides around the border, in which most of the entities and loot lie. Let's talk about the major POIs. Bolotky only has 2, and we'll start with the village. The village is lightly defended, containing police mimics, spawns, seekers, and fragments. They are a bit more numerous than in prior locations in Pervome, but there's nothing here that you haven't seen before. Besides seekers, but they are more startling than they are threatening. The village is a very open location. Entry can be made from just about anywhere, but I prefer entering here since it's unlikely that anything will come up my rear. Something about that didn't sound right. This is a mission critical location and is associated with the Fixing Elite quest, where you will be tasked to retrieve a red folder from this house. The area is fortunately free of anomalies, for the most part. The rift can be located in one of these 3 places. Inside this house here, sandwiched between a fence and a wall here, or inside this unfinished building. Also, if you're wondering about loot, don't worry, it'll come up later in the loot section of the video. The only other major POI Bolotky has is the construction site. It is modestly defended, containing fragments, spawns, seekers, mimic police, hunters, and commandos. This place steps it up a notch, including a few entities that can melt you if you are not careful. Entry can be made either through the front entrance, through a hole in the wall in the south, or another hole on the back side of the building. Just be careful when initially approaching, as a commando mimic always spawns on the roof. I prefer to take him out from a distance. Once inside, make sure to check your corners until the whole building is clear. Mimics can end up in unexpected places. As far as anomalies go, the construction site is actually quite unique, being the only major POI to also house a major anomaly field. It can be accessed by entering the basement, where you will find lots of distortion anomalies. As far as the rift goes, it can spawn either on the first floor in the main room, in this side room just down the hall, or on the second story at the top of the southern staircase. Now moving on to anomalies, Bolotky actually has a handful. We will start with the already mentioned one, the construction site basement. It contains distortion anomalies, although allegedly shocks can spawn here as well, but I've personally never had this occur. The basement also has a couple of spawns and a fragment, so you gotta be careful of that, especially in the tight halls. As far as artifacts go, you can potentially get flowers, helixes, and stellations. The next anomaly field is the construction anomaly, which has nothing to do with the construction site. It is located on the southern edge of the map here. It contains gas, distortions, and reflectors, so a gas mask is recommended. This anomaly is pretty easy to navigate as long as you stick to walking on the wooden beams. You can potentially get night eyes, flowers, helixes, and stellations. Finally, the last major anomaly field is the Grove Anomaly. It is contained in a thicket of trees and large rocks northwest of the construction site. It contains distortions, reflectors, and shock anomalies. The latter can be particularly dangerous, so it's recommended to probe thoroughly while traversing it. There is also a mimic hunter that likes to hang around that area, so I would advise taking him out before going into the anomaly itself. You can potentially obtain flowers, helixes, and regens, and for that reason I always like to hit this one if it's convenient. Now we're going to look at the minor anomaly fields, which are more generic locations and all have the same artifacts based on region. For Bolotky, you can get blanks, steps, night eyes, regens, and flower artifacts. There are 4 in total, one here between the village and construction anomaly down in the swamp, another here just north of the village, here at the northern end of the map just a bit past the Grove anomaly, and one here between the construction site and the crashed helicopter. Moving on to loot, let's start with the stashes. Stashes are a one-time guaranteed loot spawn in a static location, usually hidden away from plain view. There are hints to them on notes throughout the radius, so if you want to find them for yourself, now's the time to click away. The first one is located in this truck right at the eastern entrance to Prvome route. It contains a Spetsnaz machete, a paper roll, 2 stim injectors, and 2 VOG-25 grenades. The second is in the village located inside this building on the map and inside the stove. It contains an F1 grenade, 2 boxes of 5.45 FMJ rounds, and 2 Bakelite AK-74 magazines. The third and final stash is here under the water near the Grove anomaly. Look for the red valve sticking out of the water. It contains a red condition PP91, 2 red PP91 magazines, a box of 9x18 FMJ ammo, and a badly worn pistol suppressor. Now let's take a look at the crate-based loot. In wooden crates, you can potentially get photo traps, portable tanks, weather probes, 9x18, 9x19, 7.62x25, 12-gauge buckshot, RGD-5 grenades, RGD-2 smoke grenades, Spetsnaz machetes, injectors, and cleaning oil. They have a chance to spawn in the following locations: inside the train car up in the air just south of the village, in the basement of this destroyed building, in the attic of this building, in the garage of this one, in the basement of another destroyed building, another in this basement's building, along these train cars just north of the village, by this overturned tanker near the entrance to Kokaz, inside the swamp safe house, in this broken building just outside the construction site, by this car near the road just outside the fence, just inside the fence next to that, on the second floor of the construction site overlooking the basement entrance, and finally, one nestled between these outhouses just north of the building. Moving on to metal crates, you can potentially get the GSH-18, the G17, the PP91, the PPSH short, the hunting shotgun, sawn-off shotgun, and both IZH-27 variants. Fun fact, the sawn-off shotgun is exclusive to Bolotky metal crates. You can also potentially get magazines for the GSH-18, OTS-33, G17, M9, PP91, both 20 and 30 rounders, MP5, and PPSH, both 35 and 75 round drums. For ammo, you can potentially get 9x18, 9x19, 7.62x25, and 12 gauge, both buckshot and slugs. They are potentially located in the following spots: in this concrete pipe just south of the village near the cliffside, sitting underneath the floating helicopter crash in the center of the swamp, inside the northern safe house on the top floor, on top of the construction site crane, near some construction materials on the ground just outside of the building entrance, on the second floor in the northernmost room of the construction site, and in the basement after taking a right at the, food altar thing. One thing to bear in mind is that Into the Radius is chocked full of set spawns for things like treasure items, ammo, mags, and the such, some of which are tucked away in unexpected places. So if you want to maximize your loot gains, you're going to have to get down and dirty scavenging around. Anyway, that about does it for Bolotky Village. Personally, this is probably my least liked map. It's not bad by any means, but the swamp can be annoying to trudge through, especially at night. Still, not a bad area for getting some quick, easy loot. The next area, though, let's just say is a bit of a difficulty spike. Until next time, explorers.